Good evening and thank you for joining us. My guest this evening is a chartered accountant with over 24 years experience in auditing, finance and banking. He is a certified forensic accountant who has worked under the United Nations for over 7 years as a financial and economic sanctions expert responsible for monitoring the implementation of sanctions against identified targets. He holds a master's in business administration and is a certified credit rating analyst. He is a founder of Zambia's first ever credit rating company, the Credit Rating Agency Limited. Last year, he made a decision to break with his initial calling and serve the nation in a bigger and glamorous position of city father. My guest this evening is Wilson Kalumba, the mayor of Lusaka. You're watching Sunday Interview, and I'm your host, Grevazio Zulu. Sir, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, and good evening to the viewers.
Well, I just ran through your CV. I didn't do justice, I know, to that, but it weighs heavily towards finance, banking, and business administration. And you've made a decision to become mayor of Lusaka. I want to understand what motivated you to do this. Is it a decision thrust on you by the party? Was it an individual decision?
Grevazio, this decision was a personal decision. You see, you just ran through my CV, and obviously the CV highlights the type of experience that I have. I've been working as you mentioned, a banker, specifically a financial regulator, looking after banks, ensuring that banks are operating safely, the banks are safe, the money that we put in banks is safe, banks don't close. Added to that is my experience as credit rating analyst, again, trying to ensure that the companies that we rate have a health balance sheet. Now, when you look at the Lusaka City Council, because I'm the mayor for Lusaka, I'm going to talk about Lusaka City Council. It is an organization. So the experience that I have of taking care of organizations is very important in an organization like Lusaka City Council, because I want to bring real change. I want to ensure that the City Council has resources. It can raise resources from the market, and these resources are used for its mandate, which is to provide services to the residents. So I see my experience as directly relevant for the City Council's needs.
Mm-hmm. I want to pick out just one thing that really drove you. Was it the poverty levels? Was it the roads? Was it the rates? What really made you think, I need to go there and change these things?
Yeah, first of all, I must just mention that I've stayed abroad, and I know how city councils take care of their residents. And I come back to Zambia, I see that our city council is not doing its job. You know, it is the government very close to the people. It is the government that provides services to its people, but these things are lacking here. And yet, as we walk around, you think like, well, local authorities are by nature supposed to be the richest entities in a city. And it's not the case in Lusaka. So you tend to think, well, I think I need to do something. If I went there, I'll bring real change where we ensure that the City Council has resources to provide the services that it needs. Yes, I think it's a drive that came about as a result of comparing with what I've seen elsewhere, how city councils or local authorities do their job to help its own residents.
You're speaking about real change. I'll talk about the months that you've been there, 4 or 5 months into office, and nothing much has changed. And really, this is not what people bargained for. Status quo is what we're looking at. We're still seeing floods. We're still seeing the garbage. We're still seeing the vendors. We're still not getting the service. Is this 5 months too short a period?
First of all, the period is okay, but what I wouldn't agree is that nothing has changed. First of all, let's look at the issue of vendors. I think the party's policy, the government's policies, they're not going to chase vendors from the street until they find alternative space to take the vendors. Okay? Now, if you look at Lusaka, especially the CBD, the Central Business District, many people don't know that we have a lot of space in there. They just look at Cairo Road, Church and Freedom Way. No, they are what we call the alleys or the center roads. A lot of space is there, and we have estimated it can accommodate 4,000 people. But right now, it's inhabitable. We need to prepare these center roads. We are eventually going to move the vendors to these center roads. After we have paved them, we have put the stands there, we have put the toilets and everything that makes this place habitable to human beings. So this process requires money. And raising money is not something that can happen in a month. I've been working, since coming to the office, I've been working on finding the financial resources. And I've just completed this task.
So what we're talking about here is that vendors is on the top of your list?
Top of the list, and it's getting resolved.
But do you know that in the past there's been a debate that these vendors, it's not a shortage of markets, but it's the fact that they have a ready market right in the town center. So which means some of the markets that have been constructed at a huge cost have turned into white elephants.
It's true, there is some space in these markets, but they won't be able to accommodate all the vendors that we see. You see, vending is an economic activity. Somebody is able to make money, put food on the table, if they are not in formal employment. And it's very true that people don't have jobs. But that means that if jobs means you have to go to an office somewhere and work. What we're talking about is economic engagement. You are involved in some economic activity. And vending is an economic activity. If you go to Soweto, you find empty spaces, but those are not many. No, I don't think if we went there, we'll find 4,000 empty spaces. It's not true. So what we see, people spilling over into the streets, is partly, of course, there are some that may have abandoned their desks or their stands, but also there are those that can't have the stands and desks, and they need to sell on the streets. So it's a twofold thing. For sure, there is some space, but not much to accommodate the number of vendors we're seeing on the streets. Are
you not treading a dangerous path where you're going to open up these alleys and you're talking about 4,000 people, but once you get everyone attracted to the town center, you have no markets?
It's not true, because these alleys are there, but nobody uses them. If you went there today, you find it's most parts are used as toilets. Yet there was investment initially to construct those roads. So it's a question of finding a better use for these roads. And having market streets, I should call them as market streets, is common. Everywhere you go, there are streets that are used as trading spaces. Although you see a variation maybe from on particular days.
They don't do it daily.
Or not daily, you see. We can implement those controls. But the fact is, these roads are wasted right now.
So I want to get one thing straight. I did ask you that it's going to be a dangerous route you're taking, because if those that are in the city center as vendors are allowed to stay there, it means everyone moves out of the markets. Is that the route we're taking?
I don't think so. If they don't have a trading space allocated,
you don't risk that?
I don't think so. If you don't have a trading space allocated by the city council, you can't come. Because if you're not in the alleys, where are you going to sell from? Because once we implement this project, we're not going to allow anybody to sell on the pavements of Cairo Road or any other road. You either operate from the alleys or back in the market. So I don't see any danger there. Don't risk at all.
There's a high likelihood that from the alleys, people will still spill over into...
No. I think that will be now a lack of, what I should say, unless we are failing to implement the program. Because once we put people in the alleys, there will be gates, there will be tarred or paved toilets in there. Why would somebody want to still go on Cairo Road? We're not going to allow that. And I've said in my message that once we relocate the vendors, we're no longer going to tolerate vending on the pavements of the main streets.
So what are we looking at? Is it one road?
No,
all the
no.
roads? Chachacha, Freedom, Cairo?
Between Chachacha,
no vendors on all the streets in the CBD?
No vendors on all the streets, you either in the alleys. And you buyers, you can walk and still buy, the same way you're doing it. So once you are in the alleys, you can't go onto the pavements of any road. It's not going to be allowed. We are going to enforce the bylaws that are there.
Let's put targets to this timelines in terms of finance and rehabilitation and works commencing and ending. What are we talking about?
On the aspect financing is complete.
16 million.
We've raised the money.
Is that enough?
It's enough, because We have done the estimates. Then what follows now is the paving. We've engaged the RDA and they are going to start the work soon. And within a month, they are going to have a change scenario in terms of the alleys being ready. So the whole program, we believe by April, we should be able to relocate the vendors.
So by April 30th, April 30th, we have no vendors.
Yeah, just April, May. I don't know the exact date, but our target is the end of April or somewhere between beginning of May. So April, May, we have no vendors dotted around the CBD in the main roads. They'll be in the alleys.
Let's look at one of the issues that has really stalled the efforts by the council in the past to deal with the vendors, and it's been political pressure. Are you facing that?
I think if we talk of political pressure, has been not to chase the vendors away from the streets. And you understand as a government, you don't want to create another problem. If the guy doesn't sell, are you going to give him food? No. But what we are saying now is there will be allocated alternative space where, and you see they are still in CBD, we have engaged them through their association, they don't see any problem. They will easily move to the alleys. Unlike maybe in the past, you say today you send the cops, they send away the vendors. Tomorrow you see the vendors are coming back. So we have to have tangible solutions. For me, they can't blame me to say, we have no trading space. I said, no, I've given you, you're still in CBD. So
what you're trying to do is clear the aspect of them being illegal.
Yes.
And being a public nuisance.
Exactly.
And moving them to the alleys.
Yes, and whether in the alleys, we'll be able to contain also the issue of garbage. Truly speaking, they are part of the people that generate the garbage. But this garbage will be in the alleys, we'll be able to collect it, will be bins, there'll be containers there, and there'll be toilets, you know. So, for me, it's a perfect solution. They'll still be in CBD, which they really want. And the roads right now, the alleys we're talking about, the center roads we're talking about, are wasted. You see, they were meant for deliveries, but we don't see any deliveries taking place. So what has happened is, in some parts, you can't even get there. There are toilets. Some other, Indians have blocked them as part of their yards. Because there are some that are living there in their apartments, so they have blocked them. But this is a huge investment. Initially, if you think about it, we can't just let it go to waste. So that's why we're saying we're going to use it as market streets. And market streets is an acceptable thing. You see it even in London or New York, anywhere you go. There may be just variations we discussed that not every day, or opening between from this time to another time.
Have you discussed with the business community on this move?
For sure.
Some of them still use those center roads and alleys as part
of
delivery spaces.
I've walked in those alleys, they don't use them. And if you go to a place like New York, there are no alleys. The river is done right in front of the shop. In the morning, by 7 hours, all the deliveries are done. Okay, before business opens, or in the evening. This is what we are going to bring there.
Was it just a question of you taking a walk there, or you probably spoke with these business houses, and they told you, we don't need them, we don't use this backyard?
Yes. First of all, I've walked in there, and like I'm saying, I don't see that they use them. There are no trucks that go behind those shops to offload. Okay? And we are saying, if it's just offloading, they can do it in Cairo Road. But early in the morning. This is what happens in other places. Why can't we do the same? And secondly, having walked in there, I'm able to see that some of them have just capitalized them and converted them into personal use. You see, they put a wire fence or some wall fencing. Closing the alleys, basically, it becomes part of their space, their shop, which is unacceptable. Those are public assets. Okay? So I think I don't see anything wrong. I don't see any risks there. The risk is that if you don't do anything, those things will continue being dilapidated, and there will be public toilets as they are being used right now.
I want to understand whether the measures that the council takes are well researched, the policies. In the past, like I mentioned earlier, there's been an issue of talking about building more markets. So where does this take us? have we stalled and stopped on building markets?
We
and moved to creating space in the CBD, because this is where the market, the vendors want to be. This is where the traders want to be.
No. The issue of markets hasn't stalled. For example, since I came to the council has approved construction of 13 markets in Lusaka, modern markets. We want to ensure that every constituency has 2 markets. So these markets will be constructed, and the first step in the process is getting council approval, which has been granted. So we'll be running, say, tenders for expression of interest for those that are able to provide the financial resources needed to construct the markets. Yes, approval has been given, and very soon we'll start looking at it.
Who's building these markets? Is the council?
We haven't yet
is it being done on a public partnership basis?
It will be a private public partnership, because as we understand, the council doesn't have money, but it has the land. So we're going to stake the land as our contribution, and then get the private sector to build the markets. And as I mentioned, the most important thing is there's approval in council that will build the markets. I saw during my campaign trails, we don't have markets. It's shameful that presently we should be trading from cardboard markets, tents, Yet we should be having good markets like Kawata or maybe Charleston market, not makeshifts. Even this market by, you call this place Mandev, those are makeshift markets, not modern Zambia. That's not a market we expect in modern Zambia. We need markets that are modern. And once we have these markets, what will happen now is some of the people that come from, mind you, street vending in Lusaka is even done by people from other towns, or maybe from the communities. But I think once we take the markets in these places, we'll reduce on the number of people coming to sell from CBD.
Have you done enough research to understand what is driving the rise in street vending? I know that 2002, the council together with the government did manage to push out the vendors out of the CBD, but then there was a sudden rush back into the CBD and a sudden rise. What is causing this, in your view? Is it just people knowing that the market really exists in CBD, or is it poverty?
It's first of all, it's 2 things. People don't have jobs, so they need to engage in economic activity. The second point is, where do you stay? Wherever you stay, if you knock over 17 hours, you won't find any market open there. Because these are makeshift markets, no lighting, no what. So you are forced, as somebody who works in CBD, to do your purchases in CBD. But if I know I'm going to Charleston, the market is still open, and I can simply jump on the bus and still go and buy from there. So there are 2 things. One, lack of markets in our communities. Markets that are going to work, even remain open late, well lit. You reach from your bus, you go and get the stuff from the market, and you go. But if you are not going to find markets open, you are forced to buy in the CBD. And such a customer would want to use the CBD as a market where they can buy things. So the research has been done. I don't think it's you need complicated research here. It's a simple and straightforward matter. I work in the CBD. If I don't buy my tomato or something in CBD, I won't find anywhere to buy these things, because there are no markets. There may be markets there, but not when I reach home at 18 hours. I won't find anything open. So I'm forced to buy in CBD.
The issue of vendors is addressed. Let's look at control, the issue of control. Markets and bus stations. This is another thorny issue. For 10 years now, this law has been in place. Government enacted a law on markets and bus stations, 2007. But it appears councils have failed completely to implement this law, and have left it to cowboys and cadres and other people to take advantage and run these markets. Where is the challenge?
First of all, I already agree that the council has failed. Because these markets are still run by the councils, and the councils are getting money from these markets and the bus stops. I think the issue here is the presence of cowboys. And now, of late, we are even talking a distinction between cowboys and the cadres. We've just all along we've been talking about cadres. Cadres implying that it's a party in power that's using these markets for its benefits. But of late, I think within last week, I've started your colleagues bring a distinction of cowboys. Now, cowboys are just people doing things illegally. You see what I mean?
Cadres?
Cadres, it's You see, you have to understand that the minibus driver that you see in Kalumba, he has the right to join a party. There's nothing wrong. So if he belongs to PF, there's nothing wrong. Okay? Now, to characterize that as a political party position, it's very wrong.
There's everything wrong in having political parties establishing offices in markets and bus stations and running them on the basis of affiliation.
First of all, I understand your point. First of all, there's nothing wrong with me as a driver, with a minibus in Kalumba belonging to a party. There's nothing wrong. Okay? And if you're a group of drivers, you decide to form a branch of your party, there's nothing wrong. But don't
levy others?
Don't show that as a party position right from the secretariat that they are running the market. No, I don't think so. Because what I know is these drivers are still drivers.
And they're allowed to levy others. They go into the market.
That is illegal.
Establish branches, levy others, and above all, intimidate. It's not only levying, it's intimidation.
Yeah, but also people need to understand that if somebody intimidates you, it's an offense. It's not, I don't think the party, if you understand the party as an organization has a position or instruction for those guys to intimidate people. No. If you went to the party, they'll tell you it's not our policy.
Isn't it strange that you should be encouraging that in bus stations and markets? You should know very well as a mayor that once you begin to have political parties with branches in these markets, very sensitive places like bus stations and markets, clearly distinguished.
First of all,
and divisions. You are creating a recipe for tension and fights. We've seen this. After any election, there's always that fight between this party and that party. And the party with bigger numbers wins. And is this what you would want to see in markets?
And the truth also is that if another party comes into power, the same people change uniform, they become the other party. So there's that aspect. Not that new people come from the party now in power. It's the same people. Tomorrow, if there was another party in power, they will change into the regard of the other party. So it's nothing that is strange, because it's the same people. The same Mr. Banda, who was the MMD, is now PF. You see? But
so it's a few individuals manipulating the system and making you believe they're forming parties. Meanwhile, they're using it to raise money and do illegal things.
Yeah. The bottom line is that markets and bus stops are for the councils. And the president has recently spoken about this thing. It's not for parties. It's not for PF, it's not be for UPND. It's for the city councils. The city councils need to collect the monies that's due to them. But of course, we have an acceptable behavior of cadres and cowboys. We are now calling cowboys making a living out of people. Sometimes it's because they have helped you with your suitcase. You need to pay something. Others because they have helped you to have your bus loaded faster, and you need to pay something. It's not something that I would encourage, but we need to leave the markets and bus stops for the council. Because this is what even the head of state has said.
What you're telling us here is that you are in total control.
I think we are
running successfully. Yes. You are happy with the situation.
Yes. What is
Everything
wrong?
Is okay.
What is wrong is for
people should stop talking about it.
Exactly. If they are saying the council is not making money out of the markets, no, that's not true. The council is making money.
The council is failing to manage the markets. Not true.
Maybe in terms of bringing total
sanity
peace and sanity, I would say we need to do more as a council.
Intercity.
Intercities, you won't even believe that it's a well-run market. We get most of the money out of all the markets and bus stops from intercity. So from the financial side of things, everything's to be okay. But as usual, there are these cowboys, what we call the cadres. And like I said, we need to do a little bit more to bring sanity to these markets.
How much power do your market managers have?
In power in terms of what?
In running the markets. We have all different sorts of groups. The cowboys having their own levies, the cadres their own levies, and you have the market manager with his own levy. Is that how business should be done, really?
No.
Shouldn't there be sanity in these markets?
No.
Where people can go do their shopping peacefully, no harassment.
Yeah. I've been to Intercity, for example. I don't see any harassment. Not even before I was a mayor. I used to go there. I was always escorting a relative of mine traveling out of town. I wasn't seeing harassment. But of course, the harassment is a personal thing. You are harassed, somebody is not harassed, depending on how the guy looks at you. But as I mentioned, we need to make the markets a sane place. And as a council, we still need to do a lot more to bring sanity to these places. This is why we are saying even automating entry into the markets can help.
So when you say doing a little bit more, what are we looking at?
We are not in total control, which is the truth. We need to get rid of some of the problems and gaps that we've seen. You know, like I said, if we had the automated control in terms of entry into the markets, perhaps we are going to deal with some of these problems.
Certified Chartered Accountant, I'm sure your underlying theme must be transparency. So how much money are we making out of markets and bus stations? Enough to run the council?
First of all,
to deliver service?
What I would say is that some markets, of course, are small, and you see the fees are little. I think people pay like 2 kwacha, I don't know, something like that. But some are actually doing a good job, like some intercity. I think we make almost like 12 million.
A day?
No, that's a month from the buses that transit in there. So we can say that it's financially sustaining itself as a market.
In which case,
yeah,
the city council has a budget of about 370 million. More than half of that budget can be financed by one station.
No, it can't happen. Not even anywhere in the world. A bus stop can finance council operation budget. It's not true. You see, most councils, the money comes from rates. Rates, and in this jurisdiction, the water is also run by the council, the electricity. It's not bus stops. I don't even expect the bus stops and markets to finance the council budget significantly, you know. Maybe they should just earn enough to run and pay their own expenses as markets and bus stops. Rates is the #1 contributor to council revenue. Okay, followed by rent. Our council here doesn't have houses. On rent, you sold all the houses, so it means we don't have rental income. And these are the things that we need to look through.
Let's look at the issue of rates. You've raised it, and we've seen massive construction, homes, new townships coming up and everything. So your rate, you're raking in from rates should be high, reasonably high.
Mm-hmm. That's very true. I think the estimate is about 300,000 houses in Lusaka. But we only collect on 62,000. You see? So we still need to...
Serious underperformance.
Serious underperformance, but we still need to bring the newly constructed properties into our database. But that's a process. You see?
But that's where the money is, and that's where the money is, yes. You don't put your effort. So why make the process that long? Isn't it easy to put these houses on? We know them. You've got the database. You've captured them. 300,000, 62,000. So what is making it so difficult for the council
when I say 300,000,
62,000 to even 200,000?
Yeah. When I say 300,000, it's not a Lusaka City Council database. It's other studies that have shown. You see, but you see, with the property valuation rule, we need to engage government. They need to approve, and all those things. But since taking over as mayor, it's my priority. I want to ensure that all these houses, you go everywhere where it was a bush, the houses, we need to bring them into the picture, and this is what we are going to focus on this year. You know, if I tell you in Zimbabwe, specifically the city of Harare, they have roughly about the same houses as Lusaka. Their budget is $350 million. You see? Us 370 million, which is, I don't know, maybe less than $40 million. So we need to seriously improve things, and I'm going to work on that. Bring the houses, and also, as I mentioned earlier in some of the speeches, I want to make the council create assets that are going to give it income. So
what don't you have at the council? Some of these things look very basic. And
we don't have rental income.
You don't have capacity? You don't have people that can think and move these things forward?
No, I wouldn't say that. I think it's, well, I can't say much about that, but I think these are some of the ideas that I have. For example, our rental income is very small because we don't have properties. Most of the properties were sold, as you are aware, by previous governments.
Yeah, but that probably...
But that took away.
We cannot probably mourn something that happened 2 decades ago, 25 years ago.
I just wanted to tell you that took away the income source of a council. Okay? And then we talked about the rates thing, and we were saying our portfolio is small. We need to increase it. And this is what I'm working on. The real issue is that we need to engage in income generating activities as a council. Okay? We need to ensure that people pay for services, and we use that money to provide the services to everyone in the city. I think there is what we have now is a new council, new councillors, new mayor, and we are working hard to ensure that we bring positive contribution to the council's finances.
You don't want to accept that probably there's lack of capacity?
A capacity in terms of...
the workforce at the council?
I'm not sure, but that also needs to be improved. It's true. There needs some improvement there.
Let's look at waste management and garbage. I mean, from a garden city, and others would say to a garbage city. We set off to become a garden city, and this objective is far from being achieved. Now, wherever you go, you see piles and piles of garbage.
Yeah.
Just take a drive along Kamloops. You'll find piles and piles of garbage.
Yeah.
Along Alikinkata Road, near Mtendere, it's huge piles of garbage. Isn't this an emergency? You don't look at this as an emergency.
Grevazio is an emergency, and it's unacceptable. You see, the studies have shown that Lusaka generates about 1,000 tons of waste every day, and only 40% is picked. So you understand the accumulation and the piling we are seeing around. Now, your city council doesn't have money. Mind you, some of the income sources were taken away by government. So we have a very little income base, to be able to generate enough money to meet the cost of cleaning the city, picking up the garbage. You won't believe that right now as I speak, the city council has only 5 dump trucks. I'm talking of 5, for the whole of the city. It's too little. Cities that generate roughly the same amount of garbage, they will have 130 dump trucks to be able to pick the garbage. So what we're saying about waste management is to introduce a system where residents pay for waste management. Okay? And we are looking at either using your telephone bill or your electricity bill or anything to collect money from every household.
In short, you want to make it mandatory?
We are going to make it mandatory because already there is a law that makes you responsible for the waste that you generate. You can't dispose of your waste anyhow you like. So I found a situation whereby some people pay for garbage collection every month.
Is that run by the council?
Of course, by companies that have been given these contracts by the council. So the question is, if you pay for garbage collection and I don't pay, my garbage is not collected. So what do? Perhaps I'm the one who sneaks out in the night to go and dump it somewhere, even in the drainages. So what we want to do is to collect from everyone, and then commit to collect money from everyone, and then commit to collect garbage from everyone. So, but what we need initially is to find money to invest in the equipment. We need to have a right quantity of equipment to be able to do it. And this brings me to the issue of issuing a bond that is going to give us money to buy the trucks that we need. And then adjust the laws to ensure that payment for garbage collection is mandatory. So we find that this bond is going to be attractive because the income inflow will be assured. And then an investor, that's what they're looking
for. Have the discussion started with other utility companies to ensure that you have this in place?
Yeah, we've started discussions.
Of collecting.
You see, the collection, of course, if you talk about companies like some utility companies, for example, the water utility, it also suffers the same problem. Perhaps it's only connected to 62,000 houses. So we need to think of other ways, like, okay, when you buy talk time, you should pay for garbage. Part of what you pay for talk time should go to garbage collection. So we have started engaging.
So you have more people paying.
We have more people paying.
Less people paying more. If I don't buy talk time,
no.
I don't have to.
No. I think we are looking at the mechanism, but the bottom line is everyone generates garbage. That's the truth. We don't want to say, oh no, it's in my house. We'll still come and pick it up. We'll give you the bin. Within the bin, will still come and pick it up. So we want to collect to as many people as possible, including people that visit Lusaka. If you come from Chongwe, you are in Lusaka from morning to evening, you are generating garbage. So I want to collect money from you as a visit, either through the ticket, through the bus you are using. We need to introduce some fees, because you can't just come to a city, generate garbage and leave without paying for it. It's not acceptable. So we're looking at various options.
So even the companies that you've engaged to undertake this currently, that pick garbage, they seem to be unmonitored. Most of them used small light truck, open light trucks, and you have garbage falling all over.
Yeah,
which is unhealthy, public health concern.
Part of this process of trying to improve things is also to look at the design of the garbage collection system. I agree, they use counters, but we want to, waste management is a serious business. We need adequate investment, and adequate investment is not what we are saying. Those are used counters, I call them CBEs, community-based enterprises. They collect from the houses, then they go and dump somewhere where you've seen the big containers, and then the council picks from there. But the council only has 5 trucks,
and it's failing to pick from the sites. Who's managing the sites where everyone is dumping?
The community-based enterprise.
Because the sites have clearly become an eyesore wherever you.
It's very true. Go. So the part of the accumulation is what I explained. Only 5 trucks. Clearly, this equipment is inadequate. So we need to buy more trucks, and we need to find the money. This is why we are saying we use the garbage fee as an assurance to the lenders to give us money to buy equipment. I want to have a situation where I can have even 10 trucks in a constituency. You see, 10 trucks. And all the equipment that we need for garbage collection and garbage disposal. So we need to issue a bond, raise the money, and buy the equipment.
Are you thinking about creating some form of recycling waste? Is that one of the issues on your agenda?
It is there, and we believe that if we are going to collect the waste, we can also benefit from recycling, because we are going to sell the recyclable material. Already there's a company that's doing the recycling, but I can imagine that it's not enough. This is just one company or 2 companies. I think recycling is something that we need to think through. For example, you may want to, you'll be interested to learn that even in the US, all these recyclable materials, like cardboards and stuff like that, they are sent to China. That's why they do the actual recycling. They will pick them up, collect them, and send them to China. For China, they make the cardboards and stuff like that. I know there's a company called Wonder of Sealing, which is recycling some of the plastics, making the conduit pipes, which is a very good job. And this company is crying that they don't have enough material. If you go to the dump site, you find ladies scavenging in the garbage there, picking the plastic bottles and things like that. So we need to have more recycling companies. What we have now are very few recycling companies. Yes, recycling is on top of things.
Let's look at, you are currently lobbying Parliament to pass legislation that will compel manufacturers and importers to be responsible for disposing of their products. And you're saying due to lack of an extended producer responsibility law, we are having challenges in the country.
Yeah, I think, when you dispose of garbage, not garbage necessarily, the discharge from industries, they need to be of a certain standard, otherwise it's going to harm people and the environment. So we just need to ensure that any discharge meets standards that are acceptable for human health. Yeah, that's very true.
Now, people have argued that we have enough bylaws to contain indiscriminate dumping of garbage. What we don't have is a council that can enforce this.
what we have is a problem with the people themselves. You see, I think we need a serious mindset change. That's what we need. Because if I'm eating a banana and I throw it there, why should I blame the council? I should start with myself or my neighbor. Okay? This thing of doing things and saying, no, the council will come and do, must stop. People must be responsible for the garbage. And that's the law. The law says you need to be responsible for your own garbage. I think it's quite, I should say, crazy to throw things in the street and you say the council. It must start with the people themselves, the neighbors, you know. I think there's nothing wrong with it. Hey, you throw that, can you pick it up? If he doesn't, there's a nearby policeman, you tell him, no, he has done it. We have to start from there. The mindset change is very important. And this is what we are lacking. Before, I remember we've heard about the late President Sata, when he was governor. He sees you peeing somewhere, he'll stop, come and talk to you. You see? So I think people need to take it upon themselves. Because if we don't advise our neighbors about certain things, we can be caught up in a serious disease, all of us. Okay, so don't just ignore, you know, pick up the phone, report at the police station. Oh, there's a neighbor here, I think he's got something that's smelling in his yard. They can come and check. The public health people can come and check. This is what we need to encourage.
So maybe what you've done as a council is made the laws, shelved them in your offices, and people don't know about them.
The laws are there. Again, the issue is that the council have the resources to enforce them completely. Because how many policemen they have? Not much to police the whole city. And this is why we're saying, first of all, we need to build a financial base, because we can't run things minus resources. We need to improve the financial base, then be able to tackle most of these things.
Keep Zambia clean, keep Lusaka clean.
Exactly.
How are you trying to rejuvenate this thing? Because for now, it looks like it's just a dead statement.
For example, recently, we have employed casuals. Many of them, we've seen people have started slashing the grass, which is good. I think it's part of keeping the city clean. And you've seen MPs and councillors in their wards mobilizing people, trying to clean up. This is another thing. But what the most sustainable way is a waste management operation that is fully funded and is able to do the job. And that's why we're saying, if we collect money from you as a garbage or waste fee, then we can do the job. And this is the way to go. We'll issue a bond, raise the money, buy the equipment. That will be all over Lusaka to do the waste collection and disposal.
People have spoken about buildings in town that have not been painted in years, for ages. What are you doing about that?
Part of this vendor project talked about moving people to the alleys. Also will require the business owners to paint their premises and maintain them. Right now, I can't require them with all the vending around. It won't make a difference. You see what I mean? Perhaps the same vendors will make the walls date and things like that. But once we relocate, that's the requirement. We've talked to the businesses, and they're very happy. And they have expressed support for our projects. So we don't have any problem. They know that they'll be required to paint their premises. They know that they won't be allowed to display their products outside their shops.
Right in the central business district, there's a building that has been standing there for probably over 20 years now.
Yeah, more than 20 years. I know the building you're talking about.
Untouched.
Yeah.
And it's probably going to be there for another 10 years.
Yeah, I think, you see, the details I get about that building is that it's entangled in the legal battle. And you know, when something is in court, there's nothing we can do. First of all, the council can't take over it because, I mean, it's not our asset. All I know is this is part of it. Well, they haven't developed it, but there are some legal issues surrounding that building. And legal cases can take very long. It's really not for me as a council, as a mayor, but more for the legal process to complete. Of course, we are not happy to see such a building, and I guess it's a very big building, to remain incomplete for so many years.
We have the rains, and the story of flooding in Lusaka is a perennial story. It's back with us again.
Yeah. What I should mention is that we know about flooding for a very long time. And the worst thing is that during January to March, we are told by the The weather report suggests that we are going to have a lot more rain than before. And our drainage system is old, hasn't been maintained in a long time. So we're expecting floods. Whenever it rains, we expect floods. But the beauty about this is that we now have a project, the Millennium Challenge Account Zambia project. If you heard about the Bombay drainage, that's a very big drainage, taking water from somewhere Kamwala South down to Maziopa in Rome. So, and also there will be another one in Kanyama and in Mtendere. So we expect that the drainage infrastructure is going to improve in the next 2 years. Well, this project is running up to 2 years. Finally, this year we'll have this problem of floods, but it come in 2 years, it's going to be a problem. So it's a huge investment, costs about $350 million to just try and sort out the drainage aspects in Lusaka.
Next 2 years, flooding will be done.
Yes, there will be no flooding. So let's not talk about the flooding that we are seeing here. We know the fact is the infrastructure is very old. We have above normal rainfall. So we expect the floods. It's going to happen. And also, we are told that Lusaka has a topology. It's more like sits on a plateau. It's not in a suitable place as a city. In fact, people say, they even ask question, why did somebody decide to put a city make Lusaka a city? Because the topology is not the right one.
Are you an advocate of cause to move the city, capital city to another
No,
area?
we can't move the city. We can only move certain aspects of the city, like administrative arrangement. But moving the city means you abandon all these houses, you break them, and you go and start somewhere. It can't happen. You just have to find a way of dealing with the problems we are facing, especially of garbage. And the Millennium Challenge Account project is one of the very, very important solutions we're going to have.
I want you to talk about the issue of cremation. We're running out of time. The issue of cremation and burial space. Lusaka is running out of burial space at a very fast rate.
Has run out, actually. If you go to Chunga, you see people now are burying in between graves. And that's a problem. You know, in between graves, people are burying. It's a sign that the burial space has depleted. And this fact has been around since 2011. So what we are saying is, where are we going to find land? People are talking about other districts. Yes, if it can be done, let it be done. The government is aware, but since 2011, nothing has been done.
So we've run out of burial space.
We've run out of burial space, and this is why I personally, I say, well, why don't people think of other ways? In some places, when you don't have space, they can bury 4 people in one grave. After 1 year, they bury another one. You know, you call it stacked, yeah? Stacked burial. In some places, they can exhume you, go and bury you in a massive grave. They sell that grave to somebody. Okay? Others, it's cremation. And you see, I've seen people complain when I talk about cremation. It's a personal choice. The fact is, it's not illegal in Zambia. That's where we start from. It's not illegal in Zambia.
So you would urge residents of
I want to
go the
say
route
that,
of cremation?
I would want to
save you the trouble of finding land.
Of course, yeah, that's very true. But I'm not forcing anybody. I don't even have the powers to force anybody. But all I'm saying is it is not illegal. It's there in our constitution, because the council has a mandate to manage crematoria. The crematoria means it's a business of cremation. And you, Grevazio, you can choose to say, want to be cremated. It's normal, there's nothing wrong. And what I'm saying is, it's not that the council is imposing on people. People must just start thinking around these issues, and make sure that when you do your will, you also state what you want to.
How you want to be buried.
It remains, yes. I know people are saying, okay, we're a Christian nation, fine, but I think Zambia is a Christian nation, it's very true. But we have a constitution that doesn't outlaw cremation.
Finally, I want you to talk about, you've spoken so much about the bond and municipal bond. We last heard about this story probably 4 years ago, 2013.
Yeah.
And it looked like it had died a natural death. It's back on the agenda.
It's back on the agenda, but I think what is very clear is that you can't use Lusaka City Council balance sheet to borrow money. Okay? It can't allow. So when you talk of a bond, you need to think of a special purpose vehicle with separate assets and liabilities. If you say waste management, we need to raise money for waste management. We assure the lenders, okay, this is the money we'll be collecting from people for waste management. That's the money we use to pay you. Rather than saying, this is the money from waste management, it will go in the general coffers of the city council. And then, depending on your priorities there, we'll have to find money to pay you. It can't work like that. So we need to make sure that the lenders are very comfortable.
So for now, the special purpose vehicle you've chosen is garbage.
Yes, because I've seen that.
Waste management.
Yes, I've seen that we need huge investment in that. We need huge investment for waste management to be able to raise, and this huge investment requires money to be raised in very certain ways. Because if I start getting money from yourself on talk time, you won't run away. Once you buy talk time, I get money. But if I say
when do we see deals sealed around this issue of bonds?
It's
discussions are on.
Right now, it's at concept stage in my office, and I've started talking to some financiers.
It could take as long as 5 years.
No, 20. It's this year. We're going to.
The last one has taken 4 years.
Yeah, like I told you, they wanted to use a balance sheet, but that balance sheet can support, raising money. When you raise money, you need to show the banker, oh, this is my balance sheet, these are my assets, these are my liabilities. And if he shows that you're in negative, no banker will lend you money. But if you tell them, forget about my balance sheet, have this project. These are the revenues, these are your operating expenses, and this is what will remain to pay you. Obviously, as long as there's correct information and the revenues are protected, the banker will be interested in buying into your financial product.
So after this interview, people remember that you've prioritized a few issues. The vendors will be out soon.
Yeah, the vendors will be out soon.
Rates will have enough. Collection.
Rates, we're going to
broaden the base.
What I should say is the vendors, we're going to expand the portfolio for properties on which we base the rates, okay? And we are going to deal with, I think, some
waste management.
Waste management, we are going to raise money, buy the equipment that we need for waste management. We're going to start working on the construction markets, and we're going to ensure that we have other revenue mobilization, resource mobilization. You see, we need to ensure that we raise money, and this is why I've said recently that I think the practice of every piece of land we find, we allocate it or we sell. It's not going to happen anymore. I want the council to retain some land and develop and
use it to raise money.
Yes, including your library. It will still remain as a library, but we have to use that space to put a bigger structure.
It's been a pleasure having you on the program.
Thank you very much.
You've been watching Sunday Interview, and our guest this evening was the Lusaka Mayor, Mr. Wilson Kalumba. I'll be back next week at the same time. Pleasant viewing.
Thank you.